Surprise faded into fear as I realized how crazy all of this was. Wasn't it more likely that I was locked away somewhere having some weird dreams? If that were true, why would I not remember anything about myself? Maybe it wasn't a dream. Maybe there's something more serious wrong with me than a knot on the head and some bodily injuries. I told you. Now, what do you want to do next? Solomon encouraged, his voice interrupting my sinister thoughts. What I really wanted was far beyond my grasp at the moment. Either way, the only rational thing I could think of was to see this through to the end. Maybe, I thought hopefully, I will wake up in some bed somewhere surrounded by people who can answer my questions. In the meantime, I'll have to move forward with the evidence in front of me. The evidence suggests that I'm a witch, and Solomon seems to be trying to help me. Now that I know what I am, I need to find out who I am. But how? Should I go to the nearest town and ask anyone if they know me? I wondered. That may not be a good idea. Maybe you should work on some skills first, before you do something so bold. Besides, you have everything you need to answer all of your questions for yourself. Solomon sounded worried by the thought of me asking strangers a bunch of questions. Right. Good point, whatever the situation was. Why didn't you help me? I had to know why anyone would stand idly by and do nothing while someone else is getting hurt. I can only give you so much information. For starters, I'm a warlock, but we are bound by certain rules. Another magical being cannot interfere with punishments inflicted by humans, Solomon began. Why not? That rule didn't seem very fair. If I was a witch and he was a warlock, then why didn't he just cast a spell or do some sort of magic to protect me? If humans assume there's one witch near, they usually ignore the idea and move on. Once you show your power to them, they have a tendency to overreact by doing crazy things like killing us. Others like us cannot get involved for fear of a repeat of the witch hunts that took place in ancient times. There are so few of us left now that a full-fledged hunt would eradicate us all. Magical beings would become extinct. Solomon sounded mournful as he gave this strange, made-up-sounding explanation. What happens if we break any of the rules? My curiosity was getting the best of me. Honestly, I don't know. I've never broken any of the rules before, and I don't know of anyone who has, he answered, sounding almost frightened by the thought of finding out the consequences. Who makes the rules, then? Maybe they will know who I am, I suggested. I can guide you to the caverns, but you will have to practice your magic if you ever want to get through to the king of the mages, Solomon warned. Fine, what do I do? I asked hopefully. I wanted to get started as soon as I could. If this were some crazy dream or a delusion, then I wanted it over as soon as possible. If this were really happening, then I needed to be prepared for whatever else might be waiting for me. Well, first, you rest. We will set out at dusk, Solomon promised. Okay, but what if whoever did this to me comes back and finds me gone? I asked worriedly. Don't worry about that. People who try to kill us usually don't come back. They just leave our corpse for the wild animals to finish off. Solomon sounded hurt and bewildered as if he were remembering something awful. Solomon, are you okay? I asked in concern. I was still having a hard time believing what he said, but the idea of him being sad made my heart hurt. I'm fine, I promise. I just get choked up sometimes. You could say that I'm an emotional creature. Rest now. You only have a few hours, and you must be drained after what happened last night. I have been out through an entire day? I asked worriedly. Since nearly nightfall last night, so roughly 18 hours, Solomon admitted. 18 hours? I echoed in shock. Yeah, but maybe it was a good thing. You needed the sleep. Solomon sounded serious. Thanks. That's not exactly the best way to get a good night's sleep, I laughed sarcastically. It's as good a way as any. Now, go to sleep before I put a knot on the other side of your head. Solomon's laughter lightened my heart, making me realize that, imagined or not, he was right. I was exhausted. My mind ached and the bodily pain was beginning to set in. Thankfully, it sounded like the rain had finally stopped. Since I didn't have my purse or anything else that might help me, finding some kind of medicine to make me feel better was a moot idea. I was sure that rest was the answer.